gurakesha yachchanya drashtum ichasi. Whatever you wish to see can be seen all at once in this body. This universal form can show you all that you now desire, as well as whatever you may desire in the future. Everything is here completely. Text 8. But you cannot see me with your present. Oh, sorry. Natumam shakyase drashtum anenaiva svachakshusha vivyam datami te chakshu vashyame yogam aishwaram. But you cannot see me with your present eyes. Therefore, I give to you the divine eyes by which you can behold my mystic opulence. Text 9. Sanjaya Uvacha Evam Uktva Tato Rajan Mahayogeshwaro Hari Darshayamasa Parthaya Paramam Rupam Aishwaram. Sanjaya said, O king, speaking thus, the supreme lord of all mystic power, the personality of Godhead, displayed his universal form to Arjuna. Text 10 and 11. Aneka Vaktra Nayanam, Anekadbhuta Tarshanam, Aneka Divya Bharanam, Divyani Kodyatayutam, Divya Malyambara Dharam, Divya Gandhanulepanam, Sarvashcharyam Mayam Devam, Anantam Vishpato Mukham. Arjuna saw in that universal form unlimited mouths and unlimited eyes. It was all wondrous. The form was decorated with divine, dazzling ornaments and arrayed in many garbs. He was garlanded gloriously, and there were many scents smeared over his body. All was magnificent, all expanding, unlimited. This was seen by Arjuna. Text 12. Divisoya sahasrasya bhaved yugapad utitha yadi pasad rishi sasyad pasastasya mahatmanaha. If hundreds and thousands of suns rose up at once into the sky, they might resemble the effulgence of the Supreme Person in that universal form. And text 13. Tatraikastham jagat kritsnam ravi bhaktam anekada pashyadeva devasya sharire pandavas dada. At that time, Arjuna could see in the universal form of the Lord the unlimited expansions of the universe situated in one place, although divided into many, many thousands. So we can go back to text 3. We'll read the translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. I think we'll try to read most all of these purports by Prabhupada like last time. Okay, text 3. O greatest of all personalities, O supreme form, though I see here before me your actual position, I yet wish to see how you have entered into this cosmic manifestation. I want to see that form of yours. Purport. The Lord said that because he entered into the material universe by his personal representation, the cosmic manifestation has been made possible and is going on. Now, as far as Arjuna is concerned, he is inspired by the statements of Krishna. But in order to convince others in the future who may think that Krishna is an ordinary person, he desires to see him actually in his universal form, to see how he is acting from within the universe, although he is apart from it. Arjuna's asking the Lord permission is also significant, since the Lord is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is present within Arjuna himself. Therefore, he knows the desire of Arjuna, and he can understand that Arjuna has no special desire to see him in his universal form, for he is completely satisfied to see him in his personal form of Krishna. But he can understand also that Arjuna wants to see the universal form to convince others. He did not have any personal desire for confirmation. Krishna also understands that Arjuna wants to see the universal form to set a criterion. For in the future, there would be so many impostors who would pose themselves as incarnations of God. The people, therefore, should be careful. One who claims to be Krishna should be prepared to show his universal form to confirm his claim to people. Right? Somebody want to read text 4?
If you think that I am able to behold your cosmic form, O my Lord, O Master of all mystic power, then kindly show me that universal self. Purport. It is said that one can neither see, hear, understand, nor perceive the Supreme Lord Krishna by the material senses.
Hare Krishna.
But if one is engaged in loving transcendental service to the Lord from the beginning, then one can see the Lord by revelation. Every living entity is only a spiritual spark. Therefore, it is not possible to see or to understand the Supreme Lord. Arjuna, as a devotee, does not depend on his speculative strength. Rather, he admits his limitations as a living entity and acknowledges Krishna's inestimable position. Arjuna could understand that for a living entity, it is not possible to understand the unlimited infinite. If the infinite reveals himself, then it is possible to understand the nature of the infinite by the grace of the infinite. The word Yogeshvara is also very significant here because the Lord has inconceivable power. If he likes, he can reveal himself by his grace, although he is unlimited. Therefore, Arjuna pleads for the inconceivable grace of Krishna. He does not give Krishna orders. Krishna is not obliged to reveal himself to anyone unless one surrenders fully in Krishna consciousness and engages in devotional service. Thus, it is not possible for persons who depend on the strength of their mental speculations to see Krishna.
This is such a nice purport where Prabhupada is revealing the qualification to see Krishna, because as we understand, Arjuna is here on the battlefield with Krishna, and he doesn't just want to see Krishna as he is there. He wants to see Krishna in the universal form. And then Prabhupada pointed out in the last purport why, so that in the future that others could be convinced of Krishna's greatness and have to set this criterion. There's a few sentences here that Prabhupada said that are very significant. Where was, anyways, Arjuna pleads for the inconceivable grace of Krishna. He does not give Krishna orders. Krishna is not obliged to reveal himself to anyone unless one surrenders fully in Krishna consciousness and engages in devotional service. Just before this class, we were talking about the example, like, say, I'm praying to Krishna and I'm praying for, help or for his darshan. But while I'm praying, I'm sitting there like rubbing on my phone, Krishna, please give me bhakti, please give me devotional service, please. You won't take me so serious because my mind is distracted. But if one is fully surrendered and fully dependent on Krishna, and Krishna is obliged to help him because the devotee has no other shelter than Krishna. So this is a very significant point. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he said, don't act in a way so you can see Krishna, act in a way that Krishna will want to see you. So this is the essence that, as Prabhupada said here, Arjuna could understand that for a living entity, it is not possible to understand the unlimited infinite. If the infinite reveals himself, then it is possible to understand the nature of the infinite by the grace of the infinite. So what we could think about this in just, an easy way, like I can't grasp infinity. My grasp is very limited, very small. But by the grace of the infinite, can bestow infinite blessings, and from those infinite blessings, then you can grasp the infinite. This is exemplified in this pastime of Mother Yashoda chasing Lord Damodar, Lord Krishna, and being bound up by ropes. I think I was talking about this last class, but yeah, Krishna, he can't be caught by anybody. He can only give himself when he wants to. And he does that by the devotee's devotional service. And the last sentence Prabhupada said is, it's not possible for persons who depend on the strength of their mental speculations to see Krishna. So, there's many yogis who are trying to approach God through mental gymnastics, agitating the mind in different ways, different thoughts, different meditations, or other processes. But only by devotional service is Krishna revealed. And this pleases Krishna. Krishna, he loves being tied up with ropes by Mother Yashoda. He wants to be captured by his devotees' love. It's not that he doesn't want to. So this is a blissful process of Krishna consciousness, of surrendering to Krishna, and Krishna manifesting himself more and more in our lives. So if anybody wants to say anything at any time, that's welcome. Otherwise, we can keep reading. Does somebody want to read text 5 and the purport? Jagannath.
The Blessed Lord said, My dear Arjuna, O son of Pritha, behold now my opulences, hundreds of thousands of very divine forms, multicolored like the sea. Arjuna wanted to see Krishna in his universal form, which, although a transcendental form, is just manifested for the cosmic manifestation and is therefore subject to the temporary time of this material nature. As the material nature is manifested and not manifested, similarly, this universal form of Krishna is manifested and unmanifested. It is not eternally situated in the spiritual sky like Krishna's other forms. As far as a devotee is concerned, he is not eager to see the universal form. But because Arjuna wanted to see Krishna in this way, Krishna reveals this form. This universal form is not possible to be seen by any ordinary man. Krishna must give one the power to see it.
6. O best of the Bharatas, see here the different manifestations of Adityas, Rudras, and all the demigods. Behold the many things which no one has ever seen or heard before. Even though Arjuna was a personal friend of Krishna and the most advanced of learned men, it was still not possible for him to know everything about Krishna. Here it is stated that humans have neither heard nor known of all these forms and manifestations. Now Krishna reveals these wonderful forms. Yeah, we can't understand Krishna without accepting that we can't understand Krishna. We have to accept that Krishna is full and inconceivable potencies. And by accepting that thought, then our qualification to understand Krishna immediately grows. But it's to the extent that we have our own idea of how Krishna should act or how he should be, then it limits that, and then more purification is required. And this can be a very subtle, very, very subtle thing. So it's very important that we rely on Krishna's power to see him, and not our own power, our own ideas, our own speculations. And where's Krishna's power coming from? Krishna's power is coming down through the parampara. They're distilling the essence of the scriptures so we can very, very easily understand. I mean, as we were talking about last night in the class, there's this Rig Veda and so many different other Vedas and subsidiary Vedas, other scriptures, other Shastras. If you were just to approach them all without any, purport, Bhaktivedanta purport, who knows how you would come away. One devotee, one person would read it. One person, will take to the karma kanda process. One person will read it, they'll take to, impersonal conception. One person will read it and they'll take to this or take to that. There's no really any telling, because we're reading it from our conditioned background, which it will speak to us in a certain way. And in life, there's a strong tendency where we hear what we want to hear. We make our own convictions about life, and as soon as somebody says something that kind of connects to that in some way, then we're like, yeah, this person's right, I like them. But when people say something that's contrary to that, then it's very easy for us to shut them out. So, we all have that to some extent approaching Krishna, because Krishna is all attractive. So whether there was something about the devotees, the prasadam, the scripture, something, was there to attract us, but we should very, very nicely work to mold our life according to the vision of the Guru and to the way that the Shastra is prescribing. And that can be a big change. And then also on top of that, we have to associate with devotees nicely to make a favorable atmosphere for others to do devotional service. It's not easy. Sometimes we can change our whole life and adopt these whole things, and then we become hard-hearted and yell at people or snap at people or chastise people when we ourselves are not perfect. So Krishna is tolerating all of our shortcomings, our mistakes. So we should also be tolerant of ourselves and tolerant of others, and constantly strive to mold ourselves according to Krishna's vision, the vision of the Shastra. I was talking about this in the Bhagavatam class yesterday, but in the 11th canto, the 20th chapter, Krishna is talking to Uddhava, and he says that, I had it right here, I'll just read it. He says that having awakened faith in the narrations of my glories, being disgusted with all material activities, knowing that all sense gratification leads to misery, but still being unable to renounce all sense enjoyment, my devotee should remain happy and worship me with great faith and conviction. Even though he is sometimes engaged in sense enjoyment, my devotee knows that all sense gratification leads to a miserable result, and he sincerely repents such activities. In the next verse, when an intelligent person engages constantly in worshiping me through loving devotional service as described by me, his heart becomes firmly situated in me. Thus all material desires within the heart are destroyed. Then he talks about how the knot in the heart is pierced and all the misgivings are eradicated. But basically, yeah, I like this because Krishna is talking about that. Yeah, we may have awakened some faith in hearing and chanting about Krishna, but still we have a desire for sense enjoyment. And still we might slip up and give in to that sense enjoyment. But we should know, hopefully, and experience that such sense enjoyment, it doesn't bring any happiness. It makes us feel bad. So the natural result is to repent to Krishna. And Krishna says, don't worry, just keep on doing your service, being happy and worshiping him, and then all these misgivings will be removed. So we must have faith in the words of the scripture and follow Lord Krishna, who's saying that, yeah, you'll slip up, yeah, you'll fall, but keep doing devotional service. Pick yourself up, put a smile on your face, and keep doing service. And then all of the problems that you're facing, these material attachments, will be dissolved. I didn't have time to look at this all the way, but there was another part where he said, you if you make these mistakes, yeah, continue on with bhakti yoga and don't take up any other means to fix them. So devotional service is the goal. It's how do you say? It's what we're trying to get to, but it's also the perfection of life at the same time. So we're taking up devotional service as the means to get to the supreme destination, but the supreme destination is just devotional service. So as long as we're situated firmly in devotional service, we've already reached the pinnacle of life. But because we're in a neophyte position, we may be engaged in devotional service, but we're still thinking about, is what I'm doing really the best thing? Maybe there's a better something out there that I should be doing. Yeah, I mean, that's there. I mean, as long as we're engaged in devotional service, but different devotees might have different tastes for devotional service. But what I'm speaking of is if we have some inclination to do something not so directly related devotional service. As we were talking about in the class earlier, the externals versus the internals. So I may be in a certain situation and it's completely favorable for devotional service. I mean, there's service, there's all the time in the world to read, to study, but we can't get into it. So we want to change our external situation and go here and go there. maybe a switch might be good so we can get more absorbed. But the point is, we should acknowledge that there's nothing wrong with the situation. It's merely my lack of taste for Krishna consciousness. That's our problem. It's our only problem in any situation. Because I could be in a jungle by myself, just a copin in a little cup of water, empty cup, no water. I'm looking for water. But because I'm firmly absorbed in worshiping Krishna, what's the problem? There's no problem. But then you put another devotee there and he's like, oh, this place is not favorable for devotional service. It's not good at all. Similarly, you can be in the middle of Vrindavan and there's like millions of devotees. Every day is like a big festival, and you could be there in the middle of the temple and you're just like, this place is not conducive for my Krishna consciousness. I need to get out. So it may be the case to some extent, but we need to see that the shortcoming is with ourself and our taste for Krishna, because the devotee, the expert devotee, the pure devotee, he's going to relish nectar from serving Krishna anywhere. So, just a few thoughts. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to add? Yes, Krishna Shravana Guru.
Today I was walking to Costco, and I sat down on this bench at the Nelson Atkins Museum of Art, and there's a sign on the bench that said, "We don't see things as they are. We see things the way we are."
Mm.
And I was thinking that this is a deep truth, and Krishna also confirms this in Bhagavad Gita. Avajanani mamudha panusham tanamastratam parambhavam janato mamamuta maheshwaram. Fools deride me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature, my supreme dominion over all of be.
Mm.
So when Krishna was present on this earth 5,000 years ago, many thousands of people saw him, but they saw him as an ordinary human being. Only a handful of the devotees, including the five Pandavas, knew him as a supreme personality of Godhead. Everybody else thought he's one of us.
Mm.
And also, sometimes we have the tendency to see devotional service as something material, where actually it's the highest activity one can do, bhakti yoga.
It's very easy to be thinking we're in some rundown temple in some rundown city. But these are just externals, because we're engaged in the service of the divine personality of Godhead. And if one can tap into that, all the externals fade away. You see, minuscule. You had something you want to say?
I had a question about why Krishna purifies even the most purified of all souls, like Radharani or the gopis. I don't understand this.
Why he purifies them? Where are you coming up with this question from?
Like he purified them by stealing their garments, and also by disappearing from them in the Rasa Leela.
I mean, Krishna, I don't know if purify is the best word, but I mean, I could answer the question and try to give more context. But everything that Krishna does is for the benefit of his devotees. So Krishna, he descends to the material world. He's trying to annihilate the miscreants, reestablish Dharma, but ultimately he wants to bring pleasure to his devotees, because he could do all these things without coming here and performing all these great leelas. So all of the Lord's pastimes are arranged perfectly to attract, as Prabhu was mentioning, the souls who have the proper vision to see, the faithful. attract them back to Krishna. Somebody who doesn't have the faith, then they will never see that, or it will take purification. But when Krishna, he's doing these activities with the gopis, with different devotees, it's all about the rasa. It's churning the rasa. More and more ecstasy is formed. So Krishna is enjoying with the gopis, and he gets up and leaves. So the devotees they're devastated. You got to think that they gave up their family. This isn't like us giving up our family. We just leave one day. They're like village girls. They have a family. Girls aren't allowed to go out by themselves, let alone at nighttime. And they have a daughter, a son, a baby to take care of. They're cooking it for everybody in the house, these type of things. And they just get up in the middle of the night when they hear Krishna's flute and they leave. So then what happens when they get out there? Krishna says, "What are you doing out here? This is no place for women. You should go back home. It's the middle of the night. There's ferocious animals out here. Just go back home." And they gave up everything to come there. So then they said, we're not going anywhere. But so then Krishna, he leaves from them eventually, as we know. And the gopis go mad. They're like talking about him. They're acting out his pastimes. One of the gopis climbs on the other's head, and "I'll chastise you, Kalia. I'll show you now." She's like climbing on her head, like trying to kick her. So Krishna, he manifests in our life, and there's an immense taste, an immense attraction, but then he removes himself so that the devotee will seek him out further, to go further and give more to him. And there's more ecstasy actually experienced in separation than there is while being together. It's vipralamba bhav, because they're hankering for this person. We were talking about this the other day. If I take away something you don't like, you have no problem with it. But if it's time for prasadam and I take away the prasadam and I just told you, you had your plate all ready, and I'm like, "Prabhu, today is actually a fasting day." So then you're going to be, you're going to hanker for that prasadam a little bit more. So that's what it's like with Krishna. We might not have a pure attachment for him. So somebody takes us away from Krishna and we slip into Maya. But for these pure devotees who have no other refuge than Krishna, all their attraction is towards Krishna. And when he rescinds his darshan, his association, then there's nothing but hankering. And that's actually a stronger connection, because you're looking forward to having this connection, this relationship. And then when they actually are enjoying with Krishna, they're actually afraid that, oh no, Krishna could leave at any time. And this was taught by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is that self-same Krishna. He adopted the mood of Srimati Radharani to showcase to the world these highest levels of devotional service. Yeah. Well,
Krishna is
I
all.
think they have to change some settings.
Krishna is pure. Can you hear me? Krishna is pure.
Can you do a thumbs up if you can hear us?
Krishna is pure. He's Ram Brahma. Arjuna says, Param Brahma, Param Dhamma, Param Pavitram. He's completely pure. So everything he does is purifying for everyone. And not just the gopis. Even one who's impure, he hears about Krishna's pastimes from the right source, becomes purified. So, of course, the gopis are always getting more pure because they're always increasing their love. As Krishna attracts them more, they become more attracted, they become him, more attracted to him. In this way, social service is always increasing. Always ever fresh. Hare Krishna. Yeah. That's really it.
Read the next text. Text 7. Wait, did we do 6 or? Whatever you wish to see can be seen all at once in this body. This universal form can show you all that you now desire, as well as whatever you may desire in the future. Everything is here completely. Report. No one can see the entire universe sitting in one place. Even the most advanced scientists cannot see what is going on in other parts of the universe. Krishna gives him the power to see anything he wants to see, past, present, and future. Thus, by the mercy of Krishna, Arjuna is able to see everything. Next text. But you cannot see me with your present eyes. Therefore, I give to you divine eyes by which you can behold my mystic opulence. Report. A pure devotee does not like to see Krishna in any form except his form with 2 hands. A devotee must see his universal form by his grace, not with the mind, but with spiritual eyes. Not with the mind, but with spiritual eyes. To see the universal form of Krishna, Arjuna is told not to change his mind, but change his vision. The universal form of Krishna is not very important. That will be clear in the verses. Yet because Arjuna wanted to see it, the Lord gives him the particular vision required to see that universal form. Devotees who are correctly situated in a transcendental relationship with Krishna are attracted by loving features, not by a godless display of opulences. The playmates of Krishna, the friends of Krishna, and the parents of Krishna never want Krishna to show his opulences. They are so immersed in pure love that they do not even know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In their loving exchange, they forget that Krishna is the personality of Godhead, that he is the Supreme Lord. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that the boys who play with Krishna are all highly pious souls. And after many births, they are able to play with Krishna. Such boys do not know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They take him as a personal friend. The Supreme Person is considered as the impersonal Brahman by great sages, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead by the devotees, and as a product of this material nature by ordinary men. The fact is that the devotee is not concerned to see the Vishvarupa, the universal form, but Arjuna wanted to see it to substantiate Krishna's statement, so that in the future people could understand that Krishna not only theoretically or philosophically presented himself as the Supreme, but actually presented himself as such to Arjuna. Arjuna must confirm this because Arjuna is the beginning of the Parampara system. Those who are actually interested to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and who follow in the footsteps of Arjuna should understand that Krishna not only theoretically presented himself as the Supreme Lord, but actually revealed himself as the Supreme. The Lord gave Arjuna the necessary power to see his universal form because he knew that Arjuna did not particularly want to see it, as we have already explained. Text 9. Sanjaya said, O king, speaking thus, the Supreme Lord of all mystic power, personality of God, had displayed his universal form to Arjuna. Text 10 and 11. Arjuna saw in that universal form unlimited mouths and unlimited eyes. It was all wondrous. The form was decorated with divine, dazzling ornaments and arrayed in many garbs. He was garlanded gloriously, and there were many scents smeared over his body. All was magnificent, all expanding, unlimited. This was seen by Arjuna. Report. These 2 verses indicate that there is no limit to the hands, mouths, legs, etc. of the Lord. These manifestations are distributed throughout the universe and are unlimited. By the grace of the Lord, Arjuna could see them while sitting in one place. That is due to the inconceivable potency of Krishna.
Also important.
Text 12. If hundreds of thousands of suns rose up at once into the sky, they might resemble the effulgence of the Supreme Person in that universal form. Report. What Arjuna saw was indescribable. Yet Sanjaya is trying to give a mental picture of that great revelation to Dhritarashtra. Neither Sanjaya nor Dhritarashtra were present, but Sanjaya, by the grace of Yas, could see whatever happened. Thus he now compares the situation, as far as it can be understood, to an imaginable phenomenon. Hundreds and thousands of suns rising up at once in the sky. Imagine Krishna's there on the chariot with Arjuna, and all of a sudden Krishna just, in all these big forms that are, we heard, filled with divine, dazzling ornaments, many different garbs, different cloths, different decorations, many different oils, just so much stimulation going on. And Sanjaya is describing it as these thousands of suns rising up at once. Yeah.
It was also important. Can you hear me?
I don't know
Can you hear me? Okay. It was also important that Arjuna should make this declaration of seeing Krishna, because he's not just a hallucinator, someone taking LSD and saying, I saw Krishna, I saw Shiva, I saw this, all kinds of things. But as Arjuna, he's always pure. Arjuna's character is so high, his standard of culture and purity and chastity is so advanced. So when he says, I've seen Krishna, and Vyasadeva says, and Sanjaya, these are all great souls. Vyasadeva, Arjuna, and Sanjaya. Thank you.
And Krishna. Hare Krishna. Arjuna could see in the body of Krishna many thousands of universes. As we learn from Vedic scriptures, there are many universes and many planets. Some of them are made of earth, some are made of gold, some are made of jewels, some are very great, some are not so great, etc. Sitting on his chariot, Arjuna could see all these universes, but no one could understand what was going on between Arjuna and Krishna. So, this is a nice chapter. I think it's common. I don't know about in India, but in the Western world, people hear the Bhagavad Gita and they're very attracted by this universal form. It's so mystical. It's so great because, if there's God, God has to be this great mystical. Yeah. But, as Prabhupada, he pointed out a little bit, and it will be clarified later verses, that the devotee has no attraction for this universal form. As Arjuna, he eventually says, okay, I want to see you in your form of Narayan. And he says, no, I just want to see that two-arm form Shyamasundar. Because the Lord is as Shyamasundar, Lord Krishna, he's perfect as he is in his personality, his characteristics, his dealing with his devotees. And in other forms, they may seem more opulent or greater, but actually the rasa, the love that's there is inhibited. Because Krishna enjoying with his gopis in Vrindavan, which he descends from Goloka Vrindavan to reenact the pastimes from the spiritual world here. So everything we read about in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it's a glimpse into the spiritual world, and Krishna's supremely sweet and courageous and strong and intelligent and detached, all these great qualities. And if we just hear from Krishna and describe these pastimes, it's very pleasing to Krishna. Krishna will bless us. So tomorrow is Gita Jayanti. I think we'll gather here at some time and recite the whole Bhagavad Gita. It's a good day to get absorbed in the whole Bhagavad Gita, try to see it as a whole. Krishna and Arjuna, they're just having a conversation on the battlefield. We break it up into this class, and we read a little bit here, read a little bit there. It's a whole conversation that they're having. So reading the whole thing through, it's a really great way to get a glimpse into that. Yeah, one other comment. What time? I was thinking 4. I mean, I don't know. Is that good? To be determined. To be determined. But either 4 o'clock before the evening program or possibly later to give people outside a chance to come join. So, Jai, Hare Krishna, Bhagavad Gita as it is, Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada, Ki Jai, Shri Gauranatai, Ki Jai, Vanchakupatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhupi Eva Chapatitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah.